I'm a complex trauma survivor. And I experienced a lot of trauma in childhood. I was trafficked and sexually abused for 8 years in my early childhood. I'm not saying women are innocent, but we have been historically powerless our entire lives in a lot of ways. The world is supposed to revolve around us a lot, right? Our intuition, our wisdom. No, I'm serious. Like our intuition, our wisdom is what helps inform men to make those leadership decisions. They inform themselves based on how we feel, how what we sense from what's going on in our surroundings. And we've been pushed into this role of do. And if you're not doing for everybody else and you're doing anything for yourself, like, how dare you? You're so selfish. Unless we are under the wing of the safety of a man, we then have to figure out how to provide our own safety for survival. And so this is where we get into feminine and masculine energy, right? With my daughter, the narrative is different. She's seeing different, and the narrative about our value, our self-care, our feminine energy, choosing a partner that will be a leader, all of that is happening openly every day. And she's seeing me take care of myself.
This is the mother of podcasts.
Welcome to yet another episode of Mother of Podcasts. I'm Saumya, your host, and I'm joined today by Andrea. Andrea has been a family therapist for the past 16 years and is now retired and is now a wholesome mental health advocate, along with an entrepreneur and many other things, besides being a mother to a beautiful 10-year-old daughter. Andrea believes in the fact of natural mental health remedies and tox-free remedies for women and families. And today we are going to dive into a lot of women mental health, navigating womanhood, and all sorts of things that women can relate to. Andrea, I want you to take 5 minutes to tell me about your story.
Just to give you guys a background, so I'm a complex trauma survivor. And I experienced a lot of trauma in childhood. I was trafficked and sexually abused for 8 years in my early childhood. And my dad was very unwell, and eventually my mom divorced him, and she was a single mom. And then there's lots more after that. But part of why I bring that up is this, because we're talking a lot about safety that men are supposed to provide the family. Okay. And so I grew up without safety my whole life. And so that set the tone for me to feel like I had to create my own safety all the time, like not really trusting men. And although also I didn't have memory of this until the last year. Okay. So I didn't really know why I didn't feel safe and had like trust issues towards men in general for like my whole life. Okay. So fast forward, I meet what I would consider the love of my life, an undergrad. We travel the world together. We love each other. We move across the United States and go to grad school together. Like, all right, this is like my life. This is going to be amazing. And but he also was a very passive person and did not create that feeling of safety for me. And I'm not even talking about sexual safety. I'm talking about just leadership safety, right? Where if there was a problem, he was going to say, "Hey, we'll figure it out together. I've got you." Like that kind of, like that was not there. But at the time in my life, I was so self-reliant that I was like, I didn't even consciously know I was doing this, but I was kind of like, that's okay. Like we'll figure it out, right? Like I created the safety in our relationship. So we got married, had my beautiful daughter, and we're going along, and he has like some sort of early midlife crisis and had this crazy affair. And that led to, and we tried to work it out, and that led to like 2.5 years of a lot of trauma between us. And I'm sharing this because it's relevant to, and I have some extreme examples, right? But it's relevant to the positions that sometimes women are put in, right? When they are choosing men who are not healthy leaders. And so I acknowledge that, right? I chose somebody who was not really a healthy leader. And and so that, turned me into a single mom, and then just only solidified in more of that like masculine energy, leadership, I'll take care of it, I can provide type of thing. And it was the divorce was very financially devastating. I was a therapist and I did have my own money, or was making, contributing, but divorce really devastates women, whether they're working or not. 40% of women who get divorced, actually are at risk for poverty. So this just shows how important it is to have a healthy partner, right? When I say healthy, I mean somebody who wants to provide financially, but also provide mentally and emotionally, make you feel safe, have you set up for success in today's world with like whether it's investments for you as the stay-at-home partner, like different things that can
Get it, yeah.
create some financial security. So I believe very firmly in those things, right? Kind of leads me to the last 10 years. Okay. So I found a new partner. He's awesome. It's not perfect by any means. But we are really working through a lot of the things that we're talking about right now, like him stepping into a new level, because when he met me, I was very successful financially. And he was not as financially successful, which wasn't a problem for me. And it wasn't a problem for him. But as I have done a ton of healing over the years, I have shifted into this deep desire to not have the pressure of being the breadwinner. So even if I still make more money, that's fine, just because I naturally am good at doing that, right? But I'm not saying that in any kind of way. It's like currently right now I make way more money, and that's fine. But I don't want the pressure to have to do that for our family to thrive. So the idea is that he brings in the money to support our core family's needs, and then mine gets to be extra. It gets to be investment money, it gets to be play money, it gets to be fun money, whatever, right? Because I do feel that part of my calling in this world is not just to nurture and raise my child, although that would be completely sufficient, but also to nurture up other women, to help them come to their place that they need to come to with things like this. So I've had a long journey of doing a lot of healing that has helped me come to a place where I desire that again, and it feels safe to want that. It feels okay to want that.
I also feel that a part of what state we are in today is we've brought this upon ourselves somehow. I mean, a part of it, because so as a little girl, I was told that, you can do it all. You can figure it all out. You are this financially independent person, and then you can also earn. And because see, in India, what happened was our mostly like the generation of my mother. So I'm like about a 31. So my mother is about in her late 50s or early 50s, maybe. So they did not work. They were proper homemakers, and they saw so there's the very famous term called trad wives that's running on Instagram, which is women staying at home and cooking and nurturing their families and taking care of their children. All our mothers and grandmothers were trad wives. But there was something back then, being a trad wife, that was so toxic for them and in the home, that they decided that no, my daughter is going to go out and be financially independent, because the bread earner, the person who's bringing the money in, was respected more than the person who's cooking the meal and putting them on the table. The
Yeah.
earner of the family was had more better societal status, had better privileges to enjoy in the society. So women said, why not? We have the brain, we have the capacity, why not? Let's be that person. And in that process, something, a fire within a woman, she forgot that she is this person that has this amazing portal between her legs where she brings out new life from.
Mhm.
And not just a new life, like this, she nurtures. For the first year, she feeds that baby from her own body, and it's something very special. I believe that we don't celebrate childbirth as much as we should, right? So
Yeah.
my next question to you is, how do we figure this out? I mean,
That is another big
honestly,
question.
honestly, like, see, because a, the capitalistic world wants us to buy more and more things, all right? And to buy more and more things, we need more and more money. And the husband, and honestly, to survive and to be happy, you don't need like a lot of things. You need like very basic things in food and whatever. But the wants and the desires of the heart and the mind, they just want you to go out there and get more. So are we going in a direction where we are just accumulating our houses with things and blings and all sorts of things, and compromising on the very innate family and tribals and the community energy of all of it, because we want to just go out and get everything? I'm talking about the women of 2024, of the 21st century. What do you think? Do you
Uh,
think desiring less can help?
I think that it might contribute, but I think that that's like such, to be honest, it's a too simplistic of a point of view, in my opinion. I feel like we have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of our psyche being shaped by the patriarchy. And patriarchy and white supremacy and capitalism all go together. They all commingle and they all overlap. And I'm not saying women are innocent, but we have been historically powerless our entire lives in a lot of ways, right? Like unless we are under the wing of the safety of a man, we then have to figure out how to provide our own safety for survival. And so this is where we get into feminine and masculine energy, right? And so that has been an issue since the dawn of time. And I think that women have a lot of responsibility in this. However, there's certain limitations that we face and will probably face forever when we live in a society and a world and a culture, and this is worldwide, that is dominated by men. And it's not about men, it's more about either men providing the safety that we need, mental, emotional, physical, not just money, mental, emotional, and physical, or not. And when you're faced with that, when generation after generation is faced with, well, if I stay at home and my spouse, has all the money and all the power and he can just what if he dies? What if he up and leaves? What if he takes another lover and I'm thrown to the side and I don't matter anymore? There's so much inbred in us with need to survive that I believe that that is a fundamental thing that has to be addressed. Like men really, and obviously this isn't a statement about every single man, right? But the majority of our culture in every country is very much male centered, the importance of the male. And so it makes sense that women have also internalized some of this because when you're inundated with this for hundreds and hundreds of years, of course, your psyche is going to be shaped by this. These are generational legacies that we're passing down as women and men, right? As a collective. And so capitalism comes from all of that as well, right? And I think that humans in general, if they don't feel satisfied in the things that they're doing in life or their own internal world, then they look to see externally what can fill me up. And so as a society as a whole, I think we've gotten really far away from truly what fills us up, right? But we really are at the will of a very male-centric world where women are just like our roles and what we do are not valued. And there's a lot of women who do want to stay home, but their husband tells them that they need to bring in the money. Right? And so I'm not saying it's all men's fault. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that there's this tension that women live in that's very different than the tension that men live in. And we've done a lot to survive. And now we're kind of going to this other side of it where a lot of women are idolizing this whole other idea of freedom from this, right? Instead of trying to find maybe a partner that values them and listen, sometimes they're hard to find. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot that a lot of adversity that women have to go through in order to protect what they see as sacred. And sometimes it's exhausting and lonely.
What's
Well,
your opinion on this? What do you think about women not choosing motherhood? What's up? Like, what do you think are the reasons around you in the US, in other ethnicities, if you see something like that? What is it? Over to
yeah.
you.
So this is a very complex question, I think, because so I do agree that obviously we have to procreate in order to keep the population going. Like that's just numbers and science, right? Biology. But I think when it comes to this whole choice thing, I think it's very complex, and I can speak from my perspective in the US, um, that the mental load and the pressure that women are put under to be everything, right? Like most women have to work outside of the home, for financial reasons. I know some desire it or, um, you know, some feel a duty, right? But in general, with the state of at least the US, a lot of women have to work outside of the home for families to make ends meet or have even just a little extra. So there's that pressure. And we were never designed to do that, right? We were never designed to do that. Doesn't mean we don't have gifts. It doesn't mean we don't have things to offer the world, but the way in which we did it originally was very different, right? We would nurture our communities. Women would nurture each other. They would help raise each other's babies. There was like a whole support system. And it was just very deeply woven into the DNA of the culture. Whereas now, at least in the US, it's very singular. It's very you just are expected to count on yourself and you can't count on anybody else. And women feel weird to ask for help. It's as if there's some trophy at the end of life that will be given out if you could figure it all out, handle it all yourself, work a job, be like the best caretaker, homemaker, keep your body all awesome and not ask for help. And it's completely delusional. But this has been ingrained now for generation and generation and generation. And so we're in this really bad place as women where we don't even I personally when I talk to women, I'm like, it's almost like they have a hard time getting grounded in their own intuition or spirit about what is supposed to be, right? because they're inundated by so many things from so many different angles. And social media doesn't, I mean, social media makes it way worse. I think that we're coming into an age where people are being way more authentic and real than they ever have, but we're far from where it needs to be for women who don't have a lot of self-confidence or self-assurance to really get grounded, right? And so there's a small cluster of women, or a small group of women who understand this and who are kind of like awoken to this, if you will, and are really actively working against this, but it's not a large enough number yet. Like, we need more people. We need more women and moms to be speaking out about this. And societal pressure squeezes really, 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 really hard. And male expectation doesn't help, depending on who you're married to and what men you've been around in your lifetime, right? Like, women are not cherished on this planet, and our roles are not cherished, and it's a huge problem. So it's a profound question, because there's so much that would have to be done for this to be made right. You know what I'm saying? You know that we used to be like worshiped. We used to be worshipped, right? Not like gods, but we used to be worshipped and valued on an insane level by society and our spouses. And what we were capable of doing was held in high esteem. And a lot of that has just been poo-pooed. Like, women are supposed to be able to just be, nurture our babies,
Just exist.
play around. Yes, like we were designed to just exist. Like, the world is supposed to revolve around us a lot, right? Our intuition, our wisdom. No, I'm serious. Like, our intuition, our wisdom is what helps inform men to make those leadership decisions. They inform themselves based on how we feel, what we sense from what's going on in our surroundings. And we've been pushed into this role of do, 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 do. And if you're not doing for everybody else and you're doing anything for yourself, like, how dare you? You're so selfish. It's been a process, I will tell you, because there's so much that I could say that I haven't said yet, that I'm just starting to peel back the layers on feeling comfortable with being that polarizing, because it's very polarizing. But it's very accurate. And so that's the journey that I've been on, is sharing what I've used to help women and children outside of the therapy room that has helped their mental health, right? Supplementation, different somatic exercises, different nervous system regulation, boundaries, family dynamic stuff. And that's how I make a living now, but also that's how I help families who are really looking for a holistic route but don't know where to start, because it
Wow.
is confusing.
It is. It is, because we are not, I myself feel, only when I got pregnant I is when I realized that I'm supremely disconnected with myself.
Yes, yeah.
That was my,
I mean, like having a baby to hold up a mirror, having a child to hold up a mirror. It's really beautiful and painful at the same time.
it's, I used to compete with boys, and now I feel, duh, I'm not even running the same race. I'm a bird,
No,
you're a
we're
fish.
not. We're not running the same race. You're right.
So it's like this another world, another dimension of something has opened in front of my eyes, and I feel I was being so stupid to, have engage in those conversations, like, I can do this better, girls are better, and I can do it like you, or maybe better than you, or whatever. Like, I feel stupid now. How does a modern woman realize that she's in disconnect with herself, with her feminine energy, without having to reach a point where her baby is holding up the mirror for her? How does she do that? What do you think?
That's tough, because it first comes with openness. And we unfortunately live in a society where so let me tell you this, it takes cycle breakers, because I had to have things happen in my life bad things happen or hard things happen for me to wake up. But now I'm creating an environment for my daughter where that's not the case, right? So I'm breaking the cycle of that that I've inherited from my mother and her mother, right? Of this, like, we muscle through and we make it, all the stuff. With my daughter, the narrative is different. She's seeing different, and the narrative about our value, our self-care, our feminine energy, choosing a partner that will be a leader, all of that is happening openly every day. And she's seeing me take care of myself. And she's experiencing connection with me in a different way, right? And so that is how you create that without having to have the crap hit the fan, right? Like in your life. But unfortunately, we have a world full of women who they have to go through that where something has to happen to open up their eyes, right? And so I think that the more that women like you and I can be openly sharing our experiences, not just educating, but sharing our story, because when we share our story, other women don't feel so threatened. Instead of telling is repelling, right? But when you share your story, they get to find themselves wherever in your story, or if a version of their story matches your story, and therefore you become trustworthy and they know you've been there, so you're not going to judge them, but you're a couple steps ahead of them in figuring some things out that they want to figure out. And I believe that women like we are can help empower other women to feel safe enough to do things differently. And it's going to take time, it's going to take work.
Active work.
100%, because it's work to rewire your nervous system to exist differently. Right? Like you say it, you're like, I realize how disconnected I am from myself, right? Or I have been. And that takes time to heal that and rewire that and to become your new normal of how you.
Because I was a, I would say becoming a mother was the step, like one step solution to putting an end of me being a people pleaser.
That's
Okay.
so good.
Like I just put an end to it. Like the moment I became pregnant, somehow, like there was this realization about what's important and what's not. That's
Mm.
it. This baby is important. My health is important. Nothing else is. And that was it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've been like a people pleaser, and most of my decisions always in my life have come from a very insecure place. I've been an obese child until now. It has come from a insecure place of the fact of not being accepted by my surrounding. All right,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm fat and I'm constantly trying to lose weight. So all my decisions, so I had to go like that extra mile to, please people so that they like me because I'm fat.
Yeah.
So I do like a couple of things for them, and I would help them with their things, compromising on my time, my energy, my zone. So I realized this, like all of these realizations and things, and it all happened after my pregnancy, which was like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, two questions. You start talking about your daughter. I wrote on this small piece of paper, vision for your daughter, just before you started talking about, how do you envision this, the girls of tomorrow? How do you, what do you want for them? What's your vision for them?
I, well, I want them to know that they really can do anything they want to do, like at the end of the day, right? But I want them, my vision for our future generation of women is that they don't take on masculine energy. That they move from their feminine, because masculine energy creates so many health issues. We are not supposed to function in our masculine all the time. We have masculine energy and we're supposed to access a little bit of it for certain things. That
Yeah.
But it has created so many health issues. It's created so many mental health issues. It's created so much discourse internally for a woman, right? So much confusion. I just pray and hope that we can course correct and that our next generation of women function from their feminine and that they embrace it and that they see how important it is and have a reverence for it.
This podcast is available on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Connect with us on Instagram, Threads, and Facebook.